For those of you that were really rooting for Google's next processor to be amazing, think again, because yes, we have some new information on Google's next Tensor chip, but it doesn't sound too enticing. Samsung could be updating the Galaxy S's selfie cameras for the first time in like 4 years with the Galaxy S23, and MediaTek just announced their newest flagship processor that brings a pretty interesting set of upgrades. I'm Jaime Rivera, and yes, this jet lag face means that I've hopped 6 cities in the span of less than a week. Isn't it great to be back to normal? This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today begin with MediaTek as their efforts to give us a true flagship processor continue to take shape. The company just announced their new Dimensity 9000 Plus, which brings some pretty good upgrades over the 9000 that was announced last year. For example, we get a 5% CPU boost and then a 10% boost in graphics as some of the most significant benefits. Think of this as it's still getting the same setup as before, but with a speed bump on one of the performance cores. Now, to make matters more interesting, it's now capable of 18-bit HDR video from 3 cameras at the same time, supports images of up to 320 megapixels, and then it's also capable of processing 9 gigapixels per second in addition to supporting 4K HDR video with AI noise reduction. The 5G modem also gets a bump in download speeds of up to 7 gigabits per second. Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 also form part of the love, and MediaTek's MiraVision 790 enables support for WDHD Plus displays at 144 Hz, refresh rates or 180 Hz at Full HD Plus resolution, in addition to Wi-Fi display support up to 4K at 60 for HDR video. MediaTek says we can expect these in new smartphones in Q3, so let's see how that performs. Let's talk about Samsung for the next couple of segments, starting with some struggles in their sales department. According to a new report coming from Korea, there's a 50 million unsold Galaxy smartphones throughout all of the company's distributors. Normally, the number is below 10% of the company's total expected smartphone shipments for the year, and this is pretty much 18% of Samsung's 2022 target. And you would probably think that that would be unsold devices as part of their premium portfolio, but no, surprisingly, the vast majority of these unsold smartphones are from the Galaxy A series. What's worrying is that these are their best-selling smartphones worldwide, serving as another indicator of how bad things are. In response to the situation, the company has reportedly reduced smartphone production by 30 million units, going from 300 to 270 million. But since there's no positive indicators that the crisis will change in the short term, they'll need a bit of a miracle to hit the target. But then again, let us know in the comments why you think this is happening. Now, sticking to Samsung, let's talk about the Galaxy S23. And yes, I know there's still a lot of time for the launch, but you know these things get planned out well in advance. And we have some very interesting information about the selfie shooter. It's already, 3 years since we got the Galaxy S10, which introduced the 10 megapixel selfie shooter, which hasn't really changed in the base S variants at all since then. Yes, you have to go ultra if you want to get that 40 megapixel option, though it then gives you bidding for 10 megapixels in automatic results. Well, according to a new report from Galaxy Club, the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus could feature a 12 megapixel selfie camera, putting them more in line with what current iPhones do, but apparently it's still unclear if it'll be placed in the punch hole or under the display. But what makes them even more interesting is that it seems that there's a chance we get some sort of OIS baked in somehow, which would be a first. And just to wrap up, the report mentions that we'll have to wait and see what the Galaxy S23 Ultra selfie camera will be getting, whether that be a 40 megapixel bump, I would assume, to 48 megapixels for you to do the same bidding. We'll see what we get. And finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk about the Google Pixel 7, but focusing more on the Tensor chip. I mean, as for the Pixel 7, we don't really have any other information other than the design, but hey, because it is a Pixel, extra leaks after the official launch are bound to happen. On a Telegram group, someone who got his hands on a Pixel 7 prototype shared some boot logs that reveal interesting information about the new chip. Apparently, the Tensor 2 will maintain the 2+2+4 CPU core configuration, of the Tensor 1, but then we hear Cortex X2s would replace the 2X1s we got last year, and we even hear the possibility of the Cortex A78 replacing the two A76s, while the four Cortex A55 cores remain unchanged. And sure, the X2s are based on the ARM v9, so that could probably bring an upgrade, but not necessarily something amazing, at a time when Tensor was not necessarily better than absolutely anything else that was already in the market. We still have to wait for information about the GPU capabilities, plus the other departments where Google excels at, though. Lastly, the prototype unit also featured a new display panel from Samsung. However, the report claims that we shouldn't expect big improvements as for resolution or the refresh rate. Apparently, all those remain the same, and I hope they do figure out power efficiency. But in today's question, let us know. Do you think that it was a good idea for Google to ditch Snapdragon over Tensor? Because in my case, I think it was necessary for the company to do it. I just feel that it was too early of a change. I would have probably tinkered with the A series first, test that out, and then bring it to the flagships. But then there are cases like video recording where Tensor is performing better than phones with Snapdragon chips. So it's so interesting to see how Google Dynamics have evolved into not needing so much power to bring us a great phone, and yet the problem is it's not necessarily a great phone yet. There are too many bugs, but that's just me. Leave us a comment down below. We'd love to know your opinion. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social medias. Our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me traveling on social media again. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.